This is Alexa with the Clinician's Atelier and founder of Care Identity. I'm happy to have Dr. Yoon Han Kim today, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Yoon Han Kim, but I do also go by John with some people because of difficulty of my name for some people. So my entire career has been dedicated to integrative, functional, and lifestyle medicine. At the hospital I serve, I've created a Memorial Institute of Health and Healing, which provides integrative, functional, and lifestyle medicine solutions, preferably root cause solutions. And before I came here, I started a part-time direct specialty care, which means it's a concierge membership-based integrative and functional medicine and lifestyle medicine spanning Florida, Georgia, and Texas. And the story of that is that those are all states that I practiced, and some of the patients, they wished there would be a mechanism by which I can still serve them. And the telemedicine, the COVID telemedicine acceptance, and the surging of the direct care model has created an opportunity. And so about 4 years ago, that's what I did. I researched and educated myself for about 4 months. And then I also have experience of starting up practices, either private practice or starting up practices for healthcare systems. And that's kind of my main thing. I start up integrative medicine, functional medicine, lifestyle medicine programs for healthcare institutions, but I've also set up probably about 10 clinical practices for myself. So those things all help, but there was still steep learning curve about regulation of telemedicine and direct primary care model and whatnot. So after that, now practice is breaking even, and I do minimum on it. I want everything to be automated. Even the marketing, I do very little for it. I just set it up, and it's the demand for those services are so brisk that, and the pricing point of what I have, I'm told, is about 50% of what other people are doing. So there's a intrinsic market position advantage, and the fact that I'm not dependent on primary income also, there's advantage for me to just do everything myself, build my own website, have my own search engine optimization. That's, in a nutshell, that's what I do.
That's awesome. I have a lot of questions, but before I jump into the nitty-gritty, I'm actually curious what made you continue working in the hospital system because it sounded like you started the DPC before your current position. So what made you kind of do that overlap?
So it's a longer story that I used to work for a healthcare Medicare Advantage full risk model, and I created an integrative pain management program that saved them a lot of money. But it didn't stop them from coming into my office and saying that you need to double or triple your volume. So I just told them I can't. I'm operating, and those of the listeners that know that I'm seeing about 15 to 20 people a day is maximum for integrative medicine, functional medicine, what we do. So to say that they can just turn that into 60 a day, 40 a day, just didn't, it wasn't really possible without sacrificing the care. So I walked away, and I vowed that I would never not have options. So since then, I just started. I've been very interested in the membership model. And so what I did is I listened to podcasts like yourself, and I would just listen to it. And there's a lot. So you just go to YouTube and you just search for DPC. And those days, we didn't even have direct specialty care. We just, everything was DPC. So I would listen to everybody and read all the books that I can get on DPC, just order all of them, read all of them, study them. And then the medical society, the Texas Medical Association, also had both DPC model, believe it or not. But 10% of family practice people are now on DPC. So I thought that was really great. And then they also had one on telemedicine. So after 4 months, what I did is I decided to open up a practice. I got a modest loan from American Express for about $40,000. And, it took about 4 years, but now it's breaking even. And in 6 months, I will be done paying the loan, which means that we will be in the positive, even if we don't get one more member, which there are some people out there. I always call them and talk to them without charging them anything. And then I tell them, if you want to continue, let me know. They will let me know. And then if my practice is closed because to new patients, then I can just tell them, hey, can you wait out a couple of months until I get caught up?
I wanted to just confirm again. You said you're licensed in Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. Illinois, Missouri. Yes.
When you started doing the telehealth, are you do you predominantly have one in a particular state, or do you have them kind of spread across all of the states you practice?
So that's a great question. Florida is the place that I practice the least amount of time, and I have least number of patients. And currently, I'm close to taking new patients in Florida unless it's a referral. And then Georgia, I practiced 10 years of private practice. So it started with some of my patients reaching out to me saying, I really miss you. You took good care of me. So I just asked them, how would you feel if I opened up a private practice online and this membership base? And says, yeah, I would love for you to take care of us.
And how did that transition look like? Because sometimes I often get asked, I've actually helped one practice kind of make a transition before from insurance based to private pay. What was your experience like with your patients that wanted to go ahead and convert? Was there certain like personality or certain patient base that you saw that was more willing to do the switch?
So my Georgia practice was cash, fee-for-service model, and there was significant gap of time, about 5 years. So I didn't even bother reaching out to all my patients. I figured that studies showed that actually physician-patient relationship is worth about $5, meaning that if $5 goes up on copay, most people will change their PCP. So what I did though is that on my Facebook page from my Georgia practice had about 10,000 followers. So I used that to just announce, and I can tell you that I got maybe a fraction of the people who were willing to switch over. Now, if you are actively practicing primary care and you convert over, I think the numbers would be much higher. But mine, there was 5 year gap. So, and before I left, I found them on new doctors and whatnot. So I think that also was not optimal. And in the current practice, I'm going to start a DPC for the hospital. So we are going to find out the questions you're asking, and it's going to be a little tricky because they will always have an option to see me using insurance benefit. It's just that my access will get lengthened out. So they may have to wait a month, 2 months, whereas if they're a member, I'll take care of them today.
I was curious. You said there was a learning curve, and I kind of like your unique background and having also started insurance-based practices. What would you say was the major learning curve? Because I have noticed I personally feel, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. I personally feel that when you start a DPC or any kind of cash-based private pay practice, there's a lot more marketing involved in making relationships and connections. Do you think that's a fair statement?
So basically, in the beginning, I was very self-conscious and I didn't know if marketing would be a problem. So I joined BNI. It was really great experience, but it gave me some patience, but I would say no lasting patience. So then I found out that BNI probably is not as good, again, because I'm not DPC. If I was DPC, I think BNI would work. Now, some of the people in the DPC forum say that, it took me 4 years to mine it. And I think that it also depends on people's personality. And my personality, um, I look like an extrovert, but I think really I'm an introvert because if you give me a choice between going to new people or staying with my people, I would choose the people I know over people I don't know. But if I was alone, then I would go out and mingle with people I don't know. So knowing that BNI was not right for my practice, I changed to a online practice. And my personality, that didn't fit either because I really like in-person meetings better. So I gave it up ultimately. And then there's an internet phenomenon and marketing genius by the name of Sam O. If you Google that, he knows more about marketing, internet marketing than amazing guy. And then of that, there was this one idea that he said, which is called the long tail keywords. Long tail keywords are longer keywords that fewer people will be looking for, but the competition for that is also less. So I would come up with things like affordable functional medicine practice or affordable integrative medicine practice. And then I hired someone from Fiverr that works with Wix, where my website is hosted. And then basically he went to there and then did overall site optimization. And then I write a blog. Whenever I see something interesting in my clinic, then I will enter it in my blog. So, and I have two websites. One is just yunhankim.com. That is more of a professional website that doesn't talk, it talks about my hospital practice, it talks about my private practice, but it's just like a online CV, if you will, or not even CV, but just highlighting things I did for branding purposes. And then I have the directintegrativecare.com, which is my practice website. And sometimes I'll cross post, sometimes I'll put it on my main post. And then the thing that really has been helpful also is groups. So I belong to certain groups. I have clinical expertise in low dose naltrexone. So I'm in the groups and I just answer questions for them and not really promoting myself, but just being useful to the group. And then after like a couple of years, the moderators notice that I'm useful. So they'll begin tagging me and then they'll start saying, by the way, Dr. Kim, don't you have a practice? Meaning just why don't you share that with us? It's like, well, I want to be respectful. It's like, well, I'm asking you as a moderator to share your resources. So I think that's helpful. Another thing is that I volunteer or I speak for LDN Research Trust, and I used to be a very frequent speaker. Now, every 2 years they have in-person conference, so I will go and speak there, and they will put it on the web as well. So that's helpful. But I think the big thing is that if you're dependent on income, I think in the beginning you don't have patience. So you can spend the time marketing. And I would say do everything. Google AdWords is very highly effective, not very sustainable in the long run. So you have to do everything. You have to do search engine optimization. You have to go to the Facebook, social media. You can't leave any stone unturned in the beginning. But once you get going, and the longer you stay, the better it is. And for people doing telemedicine, they should really think about like engaging with services that give you option of virtual real address, like Regus is what I use. But once you have that, then you can turn on the Google Local. Once you turn on the Google Local, then that's the cheapest Google advertisement there is. And then you just direct some of your very happy patients to give you recommendation. And that's another way you can market without budget.
I did want to ask you, everything you said was really great, especially the fact that you mentioned the long tail keywords. That is something a lot of people don't know about. And I also agree that in the beginning, you sometimes do feel like you're doing the most, like you're doing everything. I've even personally gone through that recently when I launched my digital products. I feel like all I do all day is like market while in between everything else. So it can feel like a lot sometimes, but you're right. When you have that consistency over time, you'll be able to flood in more opportunities. I did want to ask you something that caught my attention in the beginning. You said something about automations. What does that look like? What do those automations look like to kind of, again, going back to the fact that you're working full time, do you have anyone that helps you book anything, or is that part of your automations where you kind of take them all through?
So automation, the Staffless Office is a book a chiropractor wrote, and I read it with great interest. And then it just freed me from all angst that I had. So everything I've decided that if they are not web savvy, they can't be my patient. If you go to my website, like directintegrativecare.com, pretty much there's no telephone number. It's like one of those web companies on purpose. So when you hit contact, there's not even an email address. When you hit contact us form, then like a HIPAA compliant secure contact form by Hushmail will launch. And then what happens is that it has a first name, last name, email address, phone number, and message. So that I have the basic information how to get a hold of them. If you call, because I have local, google.com, right? So if you have that in, and then you get it, you need a telephone number. So what I have is Ring RX set up. And what that does is two things. Number one, the Ring RX allows you to have that telephone number. So if you call that telephone number, if you look me up like Yunhan Kim, MD, Integrative Functional Medicine, then you will see a Stone Oak Parkway address. That is my virtual address. There's the phone number. And then if you call that phone number, the Ring RX phone number will come up. The Ring RX phone is fantastic because it's a virtual phone service that works in tandem with your phone, so iPhone. So that was another decision that I made, is that if I'm going to work with a company, it has to work on iPhone. I want to be able to run my practice on the go. So when you call this number, Staff Less Offices, leave a message, very long message, a while you're smiling, so that it's pleasant, but basically saying that you need to leave a message. You need to leave a message, or you need to use a contact me form, because that's the only way I'm able to engage with patient, is that they have to use that form. And I tell them, you can call me on this number, but if they call me, I won't answer it. And then I'll text them right back saying that go to my website. I appreciate you. Basically, they have to fill out the form. I'm not going to get back to them if they fill out the form. If they contact me from like yunhankim.com, which is my other site, because some of them will just contact me directly from there, and then I'll say the same thing. This is my business website is this. Please fill out the contact form. If they don't fill out the contact form, I treat it the same as they're not web savvy. And they're not web savvy, I can't take care of them. If they're not going to be compliant with the simplest directions, I can't take care of them. They're not safe for me to take care of them. So everyone does it. And then after that, then what happens is that, that's automated. See, now everything's automated. There's no, my phone will not ring. Even if it rings, I'll ignore it, because I know the Ring RX app will ring, has a different tone, and I'll just ignore it. And then I will send them a text message. For my patients, they are trained not to use the Ring RX. They use the EHR chat function, which is HIPAA secure. Or I tell them the text is not secure, as it's not HIPAA level of security. But if you text me, I will text you back, and we can expect reasonable. But if you absolutely want to be really sure that we're communicating securely, then you always have that secure contact me form. And from there, once they fill it out and I respond to them, then they have my email address of the Hushmail. My patients always have access to me, but they have to be my patients. If you're interested public, you have to go through the form. So it's the discipline on my part to ignore everything. It doesn't come to the form. If it's not come from the form, it's not a lead. It's a false alarm until I get them on the phone. And then sometimes if they do leave a message out of courtesy because they called me, I call them back. But guess what? I will be telling them on the phone, you need to fill out the form. I mean, as a courtesy, say thank you for calling me. I appreciate it so much. It's just our policy is that if you have to fill out that form before I will really get back to you, because that is the best way.
I want to point out two things. And one thing I love that you said, but before that, I like that you're pretty much weeding out people that aren't your audience. And I like the aspect that you said you need to be disciplined to ignore it. Personally, have struggled with that in business because I have this like urgency all the time. I'm like, oh my God, I need to answer right now. I'm going to lose the opportunity. And there's kind of like sometimes this desperation when I was younger of I have to do it. I think that part of being disciplined and not breaking the rules or bending the rules of your process is so key, because I noticed in the past when I would like make the exception for certain people, they ended up sometimes being, I don't want to say toxic, but like, they ended up being toxic. And I would be like, oh my God, I need to answer right now. I'm going to lose the opportunity. And there's kind of like sometimes this desperation when I was younger of I have to do it. I think that part of being disciplined and not breaking the rules of your process is so key, because I noticed in the past when I would like make the exception for certain people, not as easy to work with. But with that being said, I do like that you said the discipline and also that you kind of you're like, okay, this is my target audience. I need someone that's web savvy. They need to follow my process and instructions because if they can't even follow the instructions of a form, why do I want to work with them? So there's like psychology in your automations, which I really like because that's very unique thought process. My question is too, what EMR are you using for the chat and everything?
So it's very simple. It had to be friendly to functional medicine, integrative medicine, and it had to be friendly for the process of doing iPhone. So it had to work on iPhone. I've looked at everything from Atlas MD to Elation. I used Charm. All of those would have worked, but I needed an app. I needed an iPhone app. So at the end, Practice Better is what I chose, and I'm very happy with that. I think Siri is better than Dragon in terms of dictating. It's a little smarter. And now the Insight Health has free, absolutely free AI scribing services. So I use that and it works on my iPhone. For, I don't, because it's a functional medicine practice, I don't do a lot of prescription, but I still have I prescribe so that in the rare opportunities that I need to prescribe, that I can prescribe using a electronic platform. Next year, I don't know if I'm going to keep it or I will just double up with Charm and pay them and see if there's another option that will be better for my service. It's like I'm in business with Apple. When I was having private practice, once I figured out that Apple devices are more secure and they self-update and they plug and play, I converted everything to Apple. It was very expensive in the beginning, but I think it was an excellent decision. And I can't imagine functioning, running a practice without my iPhone now. And this is my first iPhone.
Actually, in design school, we used to use, and I think, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but we used to use, what are they called? Windows computers. And my computers would crash all the time in the middle of design. And I also learned way then that it was so much harder for someone to hack a Mac. It was to hack, a Windows computer. So I moved everything to Apple years ago. And the way my iPhone, my iPad, my computer all sync together that when I'm working, it's a like seamless workflow. So kind of similar to what you're describing. Like again, that automation and just like how you've kind of really created your workflow. That's really amazing. I had actually never heard of Better Practice before. So I'm actually going to look into that personally as well for like future clients. And the other thing I wanted to ask is when it's a kind of like a two-part question. When someone needs to make an appointment, how do you manage that with your current position? And on top of that, the second part to that question is, or do you handle a lot of it through text messaging and whatnot?
So I just text, would this time work for you? And then from there, the Practice Better app, I can invite them. So it's one tap to get to the Practice Better. And another rule is that never same day, unless they're in distress. If it's a routine appointment, even if I have time today, I'll always say +1 because it's just training my patient to not use my services as an urgent care or immediate care. So I'm responsive, but not same day. Now, it's different if my cancer patient says, they're crying, they're saying that, their cancer has spread. That's different. Then I will not even make an appointment. I just call them, hey, are you okay? Do you want to talk today? Do you want to talk tomorrow? So except for those, but if it's a routine appointment, I will push it out +1 day minimum. And then if I'm booked, I'll just put there +2 days, 3 days, and then ask them, is this okay? And most people, if you try calling non-DPC doctors, then you know that that's really, really good because even the messages get answered. I have a full-time job, but my lunchtime, I'm allowed to do my stuff. So, before going in, get up about 5. So I have time to respond if anything came about. And then after 5 p.m., I'm not on company time. So then I can do it. And the big thing is you just have to train your people. Again, you have to be kind of disciplined and know when to break the discipline. When compassion is needed, then it's different. But if it's organizational matter, discussing labs, discussing their follow-up, then what I do is I can do everything on my app. So I had a new patient this Sunday, and then I said, okay, I think I want to talk to you again next Sunday. So then as we're talking, Practice Better is so great that I can just click. Okay, I sent you an invite. Oh, I got the invite. I confirmed. So now we're confirmed. The big thing is I can use useless time, broken up time to be productive. A patient said, "Can you call in my prescription?" So I said, "Can you confirm?" And then I just left it alone. And then he says, "I confirm," in the afternoon. During lunchtime, I had 5 minutes before coming back. So I just called on the prescription. So it's not impacting me every day. The DPC data says that if you have 100 patients, you have one appointment. Statistically, this practice will be closed probably when it reaches 100. And I accept like maybe one patient per month because I have a main job, and you don't, and that's again self-discipline. I've lost patients who are not willing to wait. They're not for me. Other people say, "I'll wait for you." Those people are for me. I don't want to be overwhelmed. I don't want to compromise my primary job because of my secondary job. And so the best way for me, I told myself, I'm going to accept like one patient per month. So the growth is going to be minimum growth. It's going to take some time, but the important thing is I'm breaking even. In 5 months, I'm going to turn a profit, just not doing anything more, not spending more. And likely I will begin to integrate services. What I mean by that is that right now I have everything is separate. I have hint.com that my patients pay me directly. And then again, I don't have to do anything. It's just money just comes in. And then other services, like I have an effect service that I hardly use, but I wanted everything separate so that if there was a reason to disengage, minimum disruption. So I pay more for it, but I'm buying freedom because not things are, the opposite would be like something like Atlas MD, what everything it does. But if you break that relationship or it doesn't work out, then you have to reinvent everything. I purposely, mindfully chose more expensive way, but everything is independent so that if anything happens, I just have to replace one component.
I've never really thought of it that way, but that makes a lot of sense. I wanted to go back real quick. What is the name of that book again?
Staff, less practice.
You started your practice and then you took the current position. How did that work with your contract?
It's very simple. I'm pretty upfront. What I've done is that conflict of interest means I'm taking my patients to give it to myself. That would be conflict of interest. What I've done is I'm pretty open about it. And I tell them that we're going to do DPC one day and you're going to ask me, how can I trust you? How can I trust you to do DPC? And I'm going to tell you, I've been doing this X number of years. And exact scenario came up. One of the chief officers said, how can we trust you? You know, you're a great doctor and you built a great program, but this is apples and oranges. So I said, "Ma'am, I've been doing this 4 years. My program is profitable with minimum, and the scale is different because I keep it down on purpose because I like being able to take good care of my patients, and that's why I do it." And I said, "You know what? My patients, my private practice patients right now can text me right now. I will ignore them now, but by tonight, they'll get an answer. By tomorrow, they'll have an appointment." I said, right, any system I've been to, phone systems are not imperfect. They're all imperfect. And I said that I don't have that issue. Everything works. If you want to do a follow-up, then I'll talk about what I want to do for my company, starting the DPC for our company, because everything works and everything is automated. The only thing that's not automated is that when Hint says, I have new member, then I have to copy and paste maybe 4 clicks to get the name, email address, telephone number, and address. That's it. That's to create a new chart. And then I go to the chart and say, I want these forms sent to these people. Send it to them and say, hey, I sent you e-forms. You need to sign all of them because we cannot schedule a visit. Until you sign up, I cannot create a chart for you because I don't want to do that work without being paid. So it's like all the steps are linked, but it's pretty much automated. I found out that it's a little easier to do things if I had an iPad. So I recently got an iPad. There are times that it's just nicer to have my laptop. So I do have my Macintosh, but 99% of everything gets done through this iPhone. And for me, that's really critical because I will not forget, because I can do things on the fly, broken up time that's useless. So it's been very non-intrusive. I'm learning how to play piano and I'm also restarting karate. So I would say I'm like off time is really full, but I'm still able to take great care of patients.
I like that. You still have freedom of time for things you enjoy. I do want to ask, because I ask everyone a question, for someone that is interested specifically in telemedicine and looking to get started or struggling to grow, the system you shared today, I think is great. What advice would you give to someone like that?
I think first of all is internal because there was a time that I was losing money. And so does anyone help me? My spouse is a CPA. So she looks over my numbers every 3 months or so. So even that's automated because hint and everything, full script, everything is automated. So she just looked at the numbers and then I just asked her, how much money do I have in the bank? And then one time she said, I put some more money in. I have faith in you, but I just want you to know you can make more money now. So I said, okay, I will do more. So what I did, number one, is that I figured out I wasn't charging them enough. And the people didn't value my services. At that time, I charged $50 per member per month, and people just didn't value it. So I went to 100, and then it got better. And then what happened is that when my wife said that we're losing money, I said, okay, it's my hobby practice, but it's not meant to lose money. So I went up to 150, and that is the kind of the normal number for even DPC. But I know that there are practices that charge 300 plus per month. So I feel still very good, but it's a good number. And we will maintain this number until I will feel pressed for my time. If I feel pressed, then the number will go to like 175 or even 200. I just know myself. If I feel pressed, I will not enjoy it. If I feel pressed, and then if I tell myself, you know what, the new patients coming in are now consider that they're paying prime to access me. And those people actually tend to value the services more. That's what I've learned. One of the podcasts I listen to is that if you want to make money, serve the rich people. Don't serve the poor people. You do the poor people last. Was the podcast that really like saved my practice. So I would say continue listening, continue studying, and you gotta have a mastermind of people that you are connected to. So I have a business coach also that I connect with. And then between the business coach and the CPA, we can iron out most issues. And that's been very helpful because then my business coach would say, if you don't like what you're doing, it's time to raise your prices.
I kind of went through that. When Wix Studio came out, which is actually better than Wix Editor, my price went up. I think I went up like $1,100-$1,200 overnight because the system was so much better and I could be more creative in it. And I actually had a past client tell me, oh, I could have never afforded you on your new price increase. You should consider dropping the price back down. And I remember saying, no, I don't want to do that because I'd rather give people quality and serve less people than to try to serve more people. And like you said, it lose that enjoyment. So I definitely agree with you there on kind of valuing your time as well. And I think the thing that kept coming into my mind, when people pay more and it hurts more, they value it more because they're making a bigger investment in it.
Right. Some of my most difficult people were paying like $50, the initial pricing. Because what I said is that initial pricing, I'm going to have 10 people paying $50, and then I'm going to move on to $100. And then all those people got your text saying that, hey, your prices are going to go up. And I haven't increased it yet, but one person dropped off. And of course, 2 months later, she's like, I have some forms I want you to fill out. So I said, sorry, you left the practice. You're no longer a patient. Your records are yours, and I can give them to you at a cost. And she's like, nope, I don't want anything from you. So whereas, some of the patients that are paying more, and they say, hey, I'm all better. Do I need to continue paying? I said, you don't have to. There are great functional medicine doctors in Austin, Texas, which is about like 2-hour drive from here, and can cut my service. And if something comes up, you can go with them. I said, oh, can I just re-sign up? It's like, not really. This practice is not designed to be jump on and off. And I have that one person per month quota, and they would get priority because they have not been with me. And then if you read your contract, it will say, if you come back, you have to make up for all the missed payments. So I said, I don't think, I don't think you want to come back.
It's like setting your boundaries and you're like, I'm not going to play that game. You're not going to come and go as you please. And you respect your time. And that's like the thing I picked up on this call is just like between the automations and respecting your time and knowing your worth and knowing who you want to work with, you purposely have your trajectory of how much you want to grow. I love that. So I want to thank you so much for your time today. This was really interesting conversation, especially for me. I loved everything you shared and just like the thought process. So thank you for doing that as well.
You're doing fantastic. You're really doing fantastic.
Thank you for joining. And if this is your first time listening, please follow me at the Clinicians Atelier. You can also visit my website at thecliniciansatelier.com. I offer many resources to the community that you can actually access through my Instagram or through my website. I also have a course on DIYing your own brand and website, as well as a sales and marketing academy where I teach automations like we discussed today, as well as other courses that will help you with your sales and marketing endeavors with growing your practice. I'll actually be releasing a separate course that is available to non-members as well called I Need Patience Yesterday. And the focus of the course is to teach you how to actually have sales conversations, how do you actually close people, and how do you find your ideal patients and clients so that you're not waiting around for them to find you, but learn how to find your niche and your ideal client base. If you are interested in that course, go ahead and go to the website. There's a couple of downloads on there. You can join our mailing list and learn more.